Hi there, my name is Donna Arnold, and I'm an artist and a watercolor teacher. Well, an art teacher of all kinds, I guess. If you were with us last Saturday, I'm delighted that you came back this week. We're going to do another painting together if you want to join, or you can use this recording to try your hand at what I'm going to share with you. Today, we're going to be doing some bling ladies. It's a lot of fun. It's akin to cartooning, but it's a way to showcase watercolor techniques, learn how to do some, and have a little bit of fun at the same time using your own imagination. I learned this idea or picked up this idea a number of years ago from a wonderful artist teacher named Karen Knutson. You can Google her and see she's a very accomplished teacher and lady. So this is what we're going to be doing. Here's an example. This first one is my lady with stars in her eyes. The second one I call my librarian. These characters kind of take on a life of their own. I don't know in the beginning what they're going to turn out to be. If you can see the background, there's all artist names through this strip back here, and then books, like the spines of books behind her. This is my Southwestern lady. We spent some time in Arizona, so this was a natural when we were there. And this is the one we're going to do today. I created that for my granddaughter's 16th birthday, so I wanted it to look kind of bubbly and a little bit of an airhead and things that she might enjoy. Here's some others that I had made into cards. These are my mermaids. Whoops, she goes this way. You can see it's the same idea, just a different adaptation. You're only really limited by your imagination. So let's get started. To begin with, I just need a pencil, maybe an eraser this time. I usually don't like to erase things, but hey, it's a good mind changer. Okay, now to start with, we're going to make an egg on the paper because an egg is a pretty good representation of a face shape. So here we go. That's pretty good. I might have to change it a little as we go. Now, I would like to make a very light line kind of through the center of the egg, because that's really where our eyes fit on our skull, between the head and the chin. So we've got that line marked. Now we're going to make two ping pong balls that are going to be cartoon-like eyeballs, with some refinement, of course. Okay, now, so next I'm going to make the upper eyelid. I curve it around, make it a little thicker, maybe add some eyelashes, thick ones. We want it to be really pretty. Now I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm curving the line because your eyeball is curved. We'll add the eyelashes over here. There, maybe I'll pull that up to kind of match the shape. Now we're going to add the iris and the pupil. I can never remember exactly which one's which. So we make great big eyes, kind of hidden under the eyelid a little bit. We don't want to look like she just got stuck with a pin. And then we put I think it's the pupil is the dark part. Pretty good size. Now, before we do anything else, we're going to make a reflection. Rounded things, and especially like your eyeball, always reflect light. So we'll make a little V shape in the same place on both. Otherwise, she'll end up looking cross-eyed. And when we paint that in, that will stay white, so it looks like a reflection. Okay, now we'll add some eyebrows. Eyebrows really affect your expression. If you want somebody to look angry, their eyebrows come down. Somebody's surprised, they go up. Whatever expression you have, your eyebrows really add to it. So I'll just make some kind of open eyebrows. There we go. Don't worry if you do sketch marks. We can always clean it up after we Sharpie this. Now, to make the nose, we're going to connect it with the eyebrows. It'll come right down along what's the bridge of the nose. See, you don't have to worry about this because we're not trying to make a realistic portrait. And down about right here, this kind of reflects the ball of cartilage that's really on the end of your nose. Then we bring out the nostrils. There, that looks pretty good. I already know I want to bring this up a little bit. Because one eye is quite a bit bigger than the other. Okay, now the mouth is between the bottom of the nose and the bottom of the chin. I'm talking about the center of the mouth. So put a little line right here. I'm going to make her happy. We don't need to see unhappy people. On the top lip, there's a little dip usually. And then a full lower lip. Lower lip is usually a little bit bigger than the upper lip. I'm going to open her mouth a little bit. Then, oops, one more thing. There's a channel beneath your nose down to your lip. I suppose if you have a runny nose, it makes it run down instead of out. I'm not sure, but there's one there. And then we'll put a little mark for the chin. There, that's pretty good. Now let's add some hair. This young lady is going to have an updo. And I'll bring it around over here. And I'm going to take away that top of the skull right now so I don't have to erase it later. Okay, let's sketch in where we want the hair to go. We'll do that over here. Now, before we go too much further, I better add the ears. Did you know that your ears fit between the line of your eyebrows? If you put your fingers up on your eyebrows and go straight back, you'll find the top of your ears. And if you put your fingers under your nose, you'll go straight back and find the bottom of your ears. Most people have no idea that's where they stick on the head. So we'll put that there. And this one over here. Okay, now we're going to pile some curls up on top of her head. As if she has her ponytail all piled up. You can do all sorts of designs with the hair part. That's really fun. And we'll bring some coming down. I kind of draw in the locks of hair roughly, just wherever they might be. We'll pull this hair up right there. Now I think I better add a neck down here. Now we're making this neck little and skinny because she's kind of a cartoon character. And then we'll go out into some shoulders out over here. I'll take this line away. Okay, now let's go back up on the face and add a little bit of this bling. So we're going to make little tiny circles all along the bottom of her eye on what would be the lower eyelid. And then a tiny little mark to represent the bottom of the lower lid. And up in the iris, we're going to add lines. Even though we're going to color this in, these textures make it more interesting. Okay, I'm going to thicken her eyeliner a little bit. Give her a few more lashes out here. There we go. Now, let's add some jewelry. I'm going to put some big earrings. You can do whatever you want. That's why it's so much fun. Put one over here. And I think I'll put a necklace. Let's see. Kind of have a thing going with these little circles. There, that looks pretty good, I think. All right. We'll add another curl over here. Okay. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of something in the background so it isn't just a blank back there. We'll pull like sort of a ribbon shape through, which will help our eye focus on the face that we've made. And then I'm going to put like bubbles in the back. I'm making some of them look like they go off the paper because it's just more interesting that way. Oh, it looks like I made one more circle inside her earrings. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now, let's find a Sharpie. I use a fine point Sharpie. And we just go over our lines. You can start anywhere you want, but it's almost easier to start at the top and work your way down. We'll put these lines in. This is the fun part, you know, you don't have to think at all. You could just relax. I'm adding a few lines as I draw to suggest the texture of the hair or the locks of hair. All you need to do this project is pencil, besides the paper, pencil, eraser, a Sharpie, and a simple pan of watercolor paints. I have a professional palette, but you can, if you don't have those supplies, you can actually use a pan of praying pans. Praying pan paints. Try saying that fast. Because the pigments in them are. We'll get to her ear. Okay, let me add the hair up here. She looks very sweet, I think. As is my granddaughter. You notice how the exaggerated features make it look fun, make it look like a cartoon. So that's where you can really use your imagination. I'm going to add some extra lines in the eyebrows. It's really kind of a form of shading. Now those thick eyelashes. Now here's where you be sure that you leave the white in the pupil of the eye. There, see how it makes it sparkle? That's one of the features of watercolor that's, when you're doing a full painting, is really important. You leave white of your paper showing. You don't really use white paint like you do with other paint types, other media. Okay, the little circles around the eye. Your eyes will often end up being slightly different sized or different shapes, and that's actually true to life. We're not identical on both sides, so not to worry. Here I come to the pupil again. Here's our sparkle. better make it round. Okay. And the design on the bottom. Eyelid and a little mark. Trace the nose. Other side. Don't forget the drip channel. Finish the lower lip. Here's our chin. Maybe we'll put a little dimple in our chin. Okay, put ear on the other side. Neck over here. We'll add the necklace. Okay, I think we've got it all there. All right, now we'll take the eraser and clean it up just a little. You don't have to take everything out. It just adds some enrichment to your painting. I'll just take out the lines that are be most obvious. Working on good watercolor paper, which you can buy at places like Hobby Lobby, by the way. This watercolor paper is called Arches, 140 pound, which means it's got texture and it also has enough strength so that you can erase and mess around with it and you won't hurt the paper at all. It gives you more freedom that way. Oop, forgot this one. Okay, now I think we're ready to start painting. Here's the fun part. Here's the palette that I use. There are many different kinds. They're not particularly expensive, so you can find them if you would like to have a go at this. You can find them at Hobby Lobby or Michael's, or there are online suppliers as well. Two of my favorites are Dick Blick and Jerry's Artorama. They're both very good companies. Okay. I'm using these kinds of brushes. They're called rounds. A round brush has a rounded edge, which makes it flexible and fluid to use. The other kind is called a flat, for the obvious reason that they're trimmed to be flat. And you could, it's almost common sense. You use them to paint when you're painting, for example, a building, something that needs flat, or if you need to spread a lot of paint around, the flats work. They're all different sizes of flats and rounds both. Okay, let me talk a little bit about making skin color, because even though this is cartoony, we still want it to have enough reference to a human. A green face wouldn't quite do it. So, to mix a skin tone, you need some red, some blue, and some yellow. So I'll start with red, a red tone. I think I'll use Permanent Rose, because I want her to have kind of a pinky complexion. So I'll mix up a puddle of Permanent Rose. Then I'll add a little bit of Cobalt Blue. Quite a bit of water. That's how you make very light watercolors. The more water, the more pale the paint will be when you apply it. Now I need to warm that up a little bit, so I'll use a little bit of yellow. This is called New Gamboge. There, that's getting to be a skin tone. Okay. I'm going to wet all of her face so I can slide that paint on very quickly and without making extra marks on the skin. You can see why it's important, or it is important, to use a Sharpie to do this outlining. If you don't use a permanent marker, or there's been a time or two I've not, then all of the ink work washes right off. That's called frustrating because you make a great big mess. I'll just do the face part first. Okay, let's see what we have here. That's pretty good. Watercolor always dries lighter than what it appears when you first start to paint. You see how I'm just sliding this on with the side of my brush? And it goes very quickly because of the water that's already there. Now I'm going to dry off my brush with a tissue, and I'm going to lift off a little bit on the bridge of her nose, a little bit on her cheeks, because light would hit there. I know we're making a cartoon painting, sort of, but it's a good way to learn. Oh, I forgot to do that eyebrow. I have to wait till it dries to fix that. Drop some paint there. Okay, now we'll come down and do the neck and shoulders. Again, I'm just sliding my brush around these areas. If you start to make lots of stroke marks like that, they will mark your painting and it will look very awkward. You don't always put the water on first, but in this case, yes. This is called painting wet into wet. You use it, you can use it for skies, anything atmospheric. There, that's pretty good. Now, I can't go in and add Sharpie on that eyebrow, which I forgot to do because it won't work when it's wet. So when it's dry, we can go back and do that. Let's move into the hair up here. Now I'll show you the finished one. See how part of the hair I'm leaving white and part I'll paint the color, the yellow in this case, which again will make a more interesting pattern. So I'll pull out some new gamboge. Since I started with that yellow, I need to continue. I am not going to do wet and wet this time because I want a little bit more control. So see how round brushes work so well? Because that point can slide in almost anywhere. And you can make the hair whatever color you want. That's why this is fun. We'll just flip those curls right out there. Does it have to be perfectly in the line? No, that doesn't make it as much fun as it would be. Just flipping the lines where you want them is perfectly fine. Okay, now let's see. Sometimes it's important to check where your paint is dry so that your colors don't all run together. That's part of how you can control it. Now you'll notice I'm using my knuckle to feel. It's more sensitive to wet and dry than your fingertips are. Don't ask me why. I just was taught that and I know it's true. The dry paper feels slightly warm and the area where it's still wet is cold, so you can always tell. There, it's starting to be dry up around your hairline. So I can add the color up there. You'll also notice that I'm using my brush in the same direction of the drawing. I'm not just trying to go like this and fill it in. I'm stroking the way the hair would really go. There. That's pretty good. Maybe I'll add a little bit of darker. Just a little stronger. Not everywhere. There, that livens it up a little bit. Okay, while we wait for the face to dry, I'm going to add some stripes down at the bottom in the background. Again, adding a texture to make it more interesting. Okay, so I think I'm going to make that turquoise because it's one of my favorite colors. I'll mix up a big puddle. If I bring the paint out to the well here, I can get a bigger amount prepared. Okay. I'm being a little more careful because I do want it to look like stripes. And when it's dry, I can go back and add Sharpie edges if I need to, if I think I need to make it clearer. This is about as exciting as watching paint dry, right? Now, just because I'm choosing these colors, you don't have to. You can choose any color you want. Oh, I got some over there that's turning her neck blue. See how paint goes where the water is? There, just blot that up. Oh, and I got another one down here. Not to worry, there's usually a way to fix most everything. Almost a couple more. Adding the patterns around in the background makes it far more interesting to look at rather than just a big wash of one color. And that's, again, where you can use your imagination and add any kind of pattern or texture back there. Sometimes I do it with collage papers. Which I think I did. Yeah. This mermaid has collage papers back here that have been added to make the water. The same is true for this one. Okay. There. Sean, will I ruin everything if I blow dry this with a hairdryer? As far as the sound is concerned? Okay. Sean is my producer. While we wait for this to dry, we're going to go to the background back here. So I did that in a purple. So again, I'm going to go back to the permanent rose. Once you start with a major color, you noticed I used a red, a blue, and a yellow, the primary colors. So I stick with those and mix other colors from them, because then the whole painting will be unified. Permanent rose is a cool red. If I put in a bright orange red, which is very warm, it wouldn't look very good. And I used cobalt to make the skin tones. And I know that red and blue are going to make a lavender. I have to prop this up so it doesn't run everywhere. Okay. Now I want this to be fairly light, so I add quite a bit of water to it. Ooh, believe I need more water. I'm going to be working around the little bubbles. Now this isn't like wallpaper. It doesn't have to be all the same. Darkness and light, that's called value. And if you think you've gotten something too dark, you just add a little water to it. You can make adjustments as long as it's still wet. As long as it appears shiny on the paper, you're good. Once it starts to dull or dry, you can't add anymore. Well, I guess you can, but you'll have not a very good result. I usually have a tissue in my hand so I can wipe up when I need to. Or if I have too much water on my brush, I can take care of that too. One more bubble. There. Okay. Now, I think we're just about dry enough. I use turquoise down here in these stripes, so I'm going to use the turquoise to paint her eyes. The irises. Just a quick flick. Oh, she's a beauty. I think I can maybe use the Sharpie to finish what I forgot over here. I'm trying not to drag my hand through the paint. There we go. And I think we need a soft pink color for her lipstick, because she's the sweet young thing. I might want it lighter than that maybe. So I just pick it up with some water. There we go. Okay. Now, for a finishing touch on this, let me show you. I used some collage elements up in these bubbles. So all I did was use this stamp tool that you can get at any hobby store, like Michael's Hobby Lobby, and it punches out different shapes. This one punches out circles. So I've made a whole bunch of different circles. And I'm going to put them in the middle of these bubbles, and some in her jewelry too. And the idea is for it to be random. So my handy dandy glue stick. I used to use rubber cement. I don't even know if you can buy rubber cement anymore. Or if you do, you have to take it out almost under armed guard. Let's see. And you want random colors. See how everything you add makes a little bit more interest? Maybe one more blue one. Whoops, I guess it'll be that one. Once you start playing with this, you get all sorts of ideas and things that you might want to try. And I'll put one little blingy thing in each earring. There we go. And one down here to carry the design idea through to the whole painting. And the only thing I think I have left to do is her eyebrows. Hopefully it's dry enough. We'll just put a little bit of color because I don't want it to run a whole lot. There we go. I think we are finished. That was fun. I hope you enjoyed that too. Now I'll show you two paintings where I've used the same technique, but carried it a little further. Both these paintings were taken from photographs I shot on the beach. One of our sons lives in Florida, so this is our favorite place to go to the beach. There were these two gals sitting a little bit away from me. I didn't want them to know I was taking their picture. So this is called Dish in the Dirt, and I exaggerated them on purpose. I made one girl really chunky, and sunburned, and I made the other one pretty tan and pretty like a with it gal. She's got a little tattoo on her ankle and some big earrings. So Dish in the Dirt. Oh, I forgot to mention, see, I used the collage all through on the trees, the sand. The rest is the same thing we've been doing. This one was the same beach trip, and that sleeping gentleman happens to be my husband. And so he really was sleeping with a towel over him just like that. And so I added the girls running in the background. I just made them up. So this is called Snooze, You Lose. Again, see the collage in the tree and down in the sand. So you're only limited by your imagination. Well, that's our painting for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed sharing with you. We'll look forward to seeing you next Saturday. Bye.